What tattoo screams I want ink but I don't know what to get? I feel like a lot of commenters here haven't been up on hyper-trendy tattoos since at least 2010. Sure, barbed wire and tribal were big in the 90s, but I'd say it's the rare person who enters a shop in 2021 looking for a tribal armband. For my answer, constellations, especially astrological mandalas, dainty little moons/stars/flowers in highly visible locations like wrist, on top of the hand between the thumb and index finger, on the fingers, tops of feet, etc. ETA from a comment below to address upset parties. I'm not suggesting these are bad, no one has to defend their choices to me. I'm saying that trendy tattoos are trendy for a reason, namely, that tattoo trends appeal to the masses visually. The question asked about tattoos that seem like people didn't put much thought or creativity into. A Joe Schmoe who walks in off the street wanting a tattoo and did not think about what they wanted is more likely to do one of two things. 1. Choose a flash piece. 2. Ask for something they've seen on someone else, which is most likely a trendy tattoo. Because trendy tattoos are highly popular, it stands to reason that most people who get them are deeply sentimental about them, rather they get them solely for the aesthetics. It's inevitable that some people get the mandala with special meaning, but it's certainly not everyone, and not having a special meaning for a tattoo doesn't make it a bad tattoo. It just means the wearer is more interested in the art or simply having a tattoo than the meaning. Never a bad idea. I've gotten 4 total tattoos over the course of 20 years with at least 5 years in between each. It helps to grow with my tattoos so I know how they look in certain clothes, how the ink fades, how I age in them, what a new lover might first ask about. Ironically, the most deeply significant tattoo was the first one I ever got, and the most recent one is little more than rep in my hometown, but arguably my favorite, based on what I've learned over time. It depends on your profession. In a lot of cases, in my personal opinion, the best location is one where you can either show it or hide it as you choose. If you get it anywhere on your pelvis, most people will never get to see it, chest or back. You have some limited options for showing it off. Arms or legs give you a bit more options for display, but will limit you to pants or long sleeves in professional environments. Hands, neck, or face are only if you are really sure that it won't negatively impact your employment prospects. A friend of mine has a few zombified cute animals on her biceps. There's definitely a penguin, a koala, and I think a panda. She wanted another. We walked past the tattoo parlor, and she insisted on going in. She wanted another, but didn't know what. She flicked through a catalog, and kept asking the tattooist, "Can you do a zombie version of this?" To which the answer was always yes. He clearly wanted to close for the day, and she was taking forever. She flicked to the next page, which had pictures of food. After she had been told so many times that they could zombify everything, I said to her that they would do it to an ice cream sundae. She liked that idea. She returned a few days later and now has a zombie cupcake, a moldy cupcake with green icing, and a severed finger poking out, scratching at her skin. My daughter and her friends wanted a group tattoo. They decided to have the map coordinates, latitude, longitude, of where they came from. Other people might ask, then they can tell their story. If they are found unconscious or dead, first responders have a clue to their identity. They all grew up together. If you want think, I think this is fun and practical. When I was 18, this was 20 years ago, I liked Christina Aguilera and the song Fighter, so I found a Japanese tattoo that said that. Apparently it doesn't say that. I had a few Japanese people ask me why I had gun tattooed on my arm. I wish my older sister who paid for it told me not to. Mine. that I got shortly after turning 18. I picked a random one out of a book and they put it on my wrist. 10 years later I went to another artist to get it covered, but instead he recolored it and I couldn't do anything because I wasn't paying for it. I so badly want it covered with something much better, but I never have the money for it. There's always something more important to pay for. I got the symbol from the late 90s game black and white tattooed between my shoulder blades. First tattoo, and it's not like I was a massive fan of the game or anything. I just like the idea of the duality of man, I guess. 20 years later I'm just now trying to figure out how to get it covered with something cooler, but it's solid black and a pretty good size, so I'm probably screwed. The classic Japanese or Chinese writing, usually one symbol and that person took their word for it that it actually meant what they thought it meant. A lot of times, they don't. It's just a random character they put on the wall with an English translation underneath and charged way too much for because it was easy money. Not their fault you didn't do any research before you got the tattoo though, so if your Japanese character that was supposed to mean strong in spirit actually means I sleep with dogs, that's on you. Their job is to provide what you asked for, like the classic no regrets. If you misspelled the word and didn't bother to check it prior to asking for it to be permanently placed on your body, it's not their job to spell correct, and congrats on having it branded into your skin for life. It'll be a funny story to tell and a lesson for everyone else. My wife got a super complex and expensive tattoo on her left thigh thanks to Instagram. It actually turned out great, mainly because the artist didn't specialize in the style she wanted, so he basically said fuck it and did his own thing. It could have gone terribly wrong, but the guy was so talented that she ended up with a really beautiful and unique piece, and far be it from me to judge anyone else's ink. I've got a bunch of goofy sailor tattoos from a decade as a merchant mariner. I used to get really touchy about it, because this was from 2007 to 2017, so all the hipsters were into that old school Sailor Jerry style. Nowadays, I really don't care. You do. If you love it, then rock it. I had this phase where I was trying to improve myself and didn't know what to get into. I went to a private Catholic elementary school, though never practiced, and survived 2 pretty bad car accidents at 18-19 and got the cross tatted. Then I got the yin yang and Buddha on one arm, my half Chinese heritage, and Egyptian stuff like the Eye of Horus, King Tut, and Queen Nefertiti on another arm. The tattoo artist is great, but these look horrible and I don't wear short sleeve or take part in any sorta spirituality. Life goes on. I would suggest not getting tatted in your late teens. My boyfriend has 3 tattoos, and none of them are super meaningful to him. He just thought they looked badass, and they do. My tattoos, also 3, all have meanings, but that was just because it fitted in this phase of my life. What I want to tell you, either way is good. It's your body, do with it what you like. And a tip, if someone annoys you with the BWHSTHEMENIANG question, just tell them that's too personal. They'll shut up faster than by telling them that there is no meaning. So, on St. Patrick's Day several years ago, my friend and I saw flyers posted downtown for $40 shamrock tattoos. After many drinks, we ran down to the shop. They had flash pieces available, and I chose one where the leaves looked like hearts. My drunken ass asks, can one of the hearts have a crack in it? You know, like a broken heart. Needless to say, I walked out with a tattoo that was bad, and I've regretted that one ever since. I plan on covering it. Bonus. Found out later that shamrocks aren't the symbol of Ireland. The official symbol is a harp. Don't get drunken tattoos, kids, and don't go to a shop that's willing to tattoo drunk people. Has creepy staff. My only tattoo is two small axes just above my ankle. It's the dice face of a die from a board game called Champions of Midgard. My friends and I were playing it one night, and on my last turn I decided to send a single Viking on a suicide mission. I loaded up a boat full of meat and sent him across the ocean to fight a dreaded lindworm. I needed to roll the 2-axe symbol. That would get him killed, but he would also kill the lindworm. I held the die up to my friends and said, "This is Sven. Tonight we find if he is worthy of Valhalla." We all started chanting Sven, Sven, Sven. I rolled the die, double axes. We all cheered as Sven killed the lindworm with his final breath. I decided to immortalize him as a tattoo. Oh, also my ex was a tattoo artist in training, so she wanted to give me a tattoo. I didn't know what to get, so I got Sven. My husband has a rose tattoo because the shop he went to was running a promotion where for $X, I can't recall how much, but it was less than the shop's hourly rate. You could spin a wheel and you got whatever piece of flash was in the spot it stopped on. Basically he got to combine the thrill of gambling with the thrill of getting inked. He has no regrets other than the shop ended the promotion because they had to return the wheel to where they borrowed it from. Flowers, particularly roses, birds flying, words like hope, love, etc. in any language. A lot of American traditional tats too. Not that I have a problem with the style, it's just that that's a go-to for so many. It's basically all the basic ass tattoos that you see all the time. Nothing wrong with getting them necessarily. I just think you should have at least one tat that isn't basic AF, otherwise it looks to me like you got ink just to get ink. I think of it in the same way as people buying fake art from home goods stores. Like, go buy art from a real artist or make it yourself. I knew a guy when I was 18. He lived in the same flats as me. He had a tattoo of a big pink cupcake behind his ear. He had loads of weird tattoos, piercings and bright green hair. He got a Pac-Man tattoo on his hip because I said I had once played it as a kid. He was annoyed when he showed it to me and didn't want to date him. When I first started getting tattooed, I had a must-have wanted it for at least a year policy. I am covered in individual, self-drawn, artist-drawn, one for pieces, but after 30 or so sometimes I just wanted to get a bit stabbed, so I've no doubt got some of these now. I've for sure got a few cliché-matching friend tattoos, but I look at a lot of trendy stuff as let people enjoy what they enjoy now rather than everyone has that. Same with church music, might not be my thing, but if thousands of people like something, who am I to shit on it? Just a circle anywhere. It's really simple, and a circle is also symbolic enough for people not to question it. If they do, you can really just pick anything you want, like a fun game. For example, it stands for the circle of life, or it means that nothing will truly end, but just keep going in a circle. Plus, if you ever figure out what you actually want, it's pretty easy to fit a circle into a lot of pictures so you can cover it up. Lol, that's awesome. Any tattoo I thought I wanted at various different ages and stages of my life 100% would have been cool for that particular year or two, but in hindsight would be stupid as hell now and totally irrelevant, and certainly not a theme tying them together as they were different interests. So glad I didn't get any of them. The clown sounds pretty cool though. People probably think you're into ICP. I have a friend with a tattoo of a stick man holding a surfboard. The whole thing looks like a crude child's sketch, and right above the stickman it says "we e." Also, if you look closely, the stickman has a stick penis, but it's like a very realistic length proportional to the size of the stickman. I've always found that to be the most hilarious part, because rather than doing some over-the-top penis just as an obvious joke or not giving the stickman a penis at all, he added this modest little stick penis as if to say, "This is about the size of my actual penis and I'm not trying to flex here." I guess you could say that I have the same policy, but I don't even bother keeping up with any ideas because I already know that I wouldn't like them anymore in a year, or maybe not even that I wouldn't like them anymore, but there's simply no motive in the world that wouldn't annoy me if I had to have it on me for the rest of my life. I like to renew my clothes and I like to get different haircuts. When I think about tattoos, I think about wearing the same clothes and the same haircut for the rest of my life. No matter how great they are, I will get sick of them eventually. Of my first 5 tattoos, they were from flashcards, and because I was stupid and 18 and they looked cool, I can't say that I regret them completely, but I wish I had given them the thought or had the same meaning that the ones I got later in life do. Yes, there are dates. The last thing my dad wrote to me with his signature and his life, death dates, and song lyrics that have become a mantra to me, but they have meaning behind them, for me. I got them for me, not to get someone else's opinion on the art I've chosen for my body. I figure if it's that important to me, then I won't need to keep track of it. It'll be on my mind regularly for at least a year. I've had ideas that kept coming back to me for several months, but I inevitably found a reason to hate them long before a year passed. Often, the reason I hated them was because the image on my mind became trendy and I started seeing people with that very tattoo everywhere, so that it ended up feeling cringy. I don't know, usually tattoos with a story behind them, a lot of times seem to be very made. I've spent a good portion of my adult life in tattoo shops, and the more serious people are getting things strictly for an aesthetic purpose and to have that artist's work. Everybody always heaves a collective sigh when somebody comes in with a long drawn-out story and a vague idea of how to transfer that onto skin. Chinese words like water tattooed in the neck, on people who know shit all about Chinese. I once had a friend with one such tattoo and asked her, "Did you check what symbol means water? Did you make sure he wrote the right one?" Her, "No. I assumed he knew his craft." Me. "So basically you could walk around with the word for flaccid dick on your neck and you would never know." Her, "I guess. But it means water to me, so that's what counts." Anyone who follows up their tattoo story with, "This is my Friday the 13th tattoo." It's been my experience that people who wait for tattoo sale days to pick out a small, 1-2-inch tattoo also don't have an epic story behind the design except to join the other cheapskates in saying they got their tattoo on Friday, the 13th. It's also been my experience that tattoo shops who partake in tattoo sale days will usually, and rightly so, place a book of flash art out as the sale tattoos, so there's also very little thought put into the design for the person picking it out of a book. I guess my own tattoo, I got one under my arm that's written using Elder Futhark runes that reads, "Nothing good can happen to people who break their solemn vows." In truth, I got it because my friend wanted to go get tattoos on her birthday, so I got one too, and that's what I came up with. But it does have a special meaning to me. I got it as a reminder of how my life went, and how I wanted to go. I had experienced a lot of emotional trauma about a year prior, and quotes like these helped me to move forward with my life in ways I never imagined. Infinity symbol, rose, a basic dragon tattoo, Chinese or Japanese symbols on an obviously uncultured about their meanings individual, basic butterfly, the most cliché sayings such as YOLO and the likes, basically anything unoriginal on an unoriginal spot with an unoriginal design that you have seen too many times. But hey, I don't judge. In the end of the day, if you want it, you want it. Who am I to tell you how it is supposed to be? There are trendy tattoos, and then there are tattoos that people just don't have aesthetic preferences for. This is a whole piece of tattoo culture. Come in and put .25 in a machine and pull out a ball with a design, and you get what you get. Dice roll kits that pull 3 ideas into one, a dragon with a dagger in black and white. Some people want the trend, Some people want to stack sleeves, get bodysuits or just like the appearance of the ink itself and care little for the design. I saw The Dark Knight at the IMAX in Navy Pier here in Chicago. For those of you that don't know, that screen was huge and excellent quality. We also had great seats, so it was an amazing experience for an amazing movie. I also got to see some episodes of The Twilight Zone as part of a special event. The theater was empty except of this small family of a grandma, mother, and 2 kids. Snuck in some whiskey and got to enjoy watching one of my favorite TV shows in a basically empty theater while enjoying some whiskey. My favorite part was after it was done though, and hearing these kids, who were around 8-10 years old, telling their grandma how they wanted to watch more of the show, made me smile to hear these young kids still were able to appreciate a show that's over 60 years old. Edit found my ticket from The Dark Knight and a seating chart for the IMAX, so you can see we had pretty good seats.